Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It is now 7 o'clock right here on the family station Love 101. It's time now for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the U.K., 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the main watch, lottery scammers renting upscale residences for short periods to perpetrate their crimes. And in the second watch, how is Montego Bay, weathering the weather? For our social media question, we ask, how are you weathering, that tongue twisted there a bit of it. How are you weathering the weather in your neck of Jamaica? Share your responses in our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp your comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, I quote for this morning. Honor your commitments with integrity, Les Brown. Good morning.
Said it better. Good morning, sir, Roshane. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well, let me say I'm doing well. I heard you yesterday in the afternoon, but I don't remember what the conversation was.
Well, you're doing weller. Wellest. That has made that up. Wellest. That has made that up.
Thank
the
you.
main watch will be back after this break.
All right, bless you.
Yes, sir.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, April 20. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Chevelle Franklin as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m., join us again inside the Drama House for one final chat. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah M., the Jerpy One on the family station, Love 101.
What does a healthy conversation look like? Can we avoid over-communicating? And how can one improve their romantic relationship through communication? You get to find out this and more this Thursday, April 21 at 5:30 p.m. inside the Truly Marvelous program To Have and To Hold, as we take a look at constructive and destructive communications in our marriage. That's the Truly Marvelous program, this and every Thursday, with host Colleen Beckles and her co-host for this week, Andre Allen Casey. And it happens right here on Love 101, the family station.
If you want a place to just chill and hold a vibe,
a place where you can get some good belly burning laugh,
a beer joke a keep, and deep discussion about life.
Make sure you don't miss Come Make We Draw Long Bench with Shivani Blair.
Every Friday at 9 p.m. during Fellowship Fridays.
Mrs.
Massa, it's not normal.
And we're sure you will enjoy it plenty.
So come, make we draw a long bench the next time Friday I keep
at 9 p.m.
Right here on the family station, Love 101. Bench them gone, dear child.
You a lot of everything. You make the universe like a ring. Give me a bite to chant, open my bite to sing.
If it had not been for the Lord on my side,
in Him we live, in Him we move. move. In Him we have our being.
Thank you, Father God, for your guiding hand and keeping care.
Thank you, Jehovah God.
For 29 years of ministry to Jamaica and the world.
Love 101 FM.
Number one in gospel radio in Jamaica. Number 4 out of over 30 radio stations in Jamaica. To God be all the glory.
In Him, we are on the move.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch. Now, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, an arm of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, otherwise called MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, otherwise called MOCA, is warning landlords and short-term rental operators against scammers. And these scammers, spelled popularly in Jamaican language as SCAMMAS, these scammers have apparently moved into upscale residences to do some of their devious deeds. And how do you know if the person who is renting from you is engaged in scamming? And is there any risk to you as a person renting them the facility, for example, for a short period of time? Is there any risk to you as, when you rent them this facility? What are some of the things you need to be wary of? Can you end up being charged for a crime because you rented your facility for the short period of time to one of these persons? We have online this morning to have a very, very relevant discussion around this. Robert Finzi-Smith, security consultant, and the president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica, Mr. Pierre Shirley. Good day, Mr. Shirley, and good day, Mr. Finzi-Smith. How are you both?
Good morning. Good morning, Stokey. Morning, Robert. How are you doing? Morning to your listeners.
Great having you both online. Now I'm going to start with you, Mr. Finzi-Smith. Not to say that what Mr. Shirley has to say is not extremely relevant, but Mr. Finzi-Smith, from a general security perspective, do you have anything to indicate to the listeners in relation to this phenomenon where persons who are engaged in scamming, lottery scamming, whatever type of scamming, who have large amounts of cash, some of them may even put this money through the banking system, and they present themselves as someone who wants to do a short-term rental? Any warnings for the landlords, and how would someone generally be made to find out, or how can they know that this person is engaged in this kind of these kinds of illegal activities? Mr. Finzi-Smith?
See if your common sense can be allowed to overcome your greed. The best analogy I can put forward at this time is that in hotels or guest houses, there is a phraseology used for people who rent by the hour. I leave that to your imagination. So you can usually detect the type of clientele you're getting.
Yes.
The other thing
there's a recent... Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were through. Continue.
No, the other thing is that they usually have certain requests or certain requirements, inclusive of which is the strength and the availability of your Wi-Fi.
I see.
Because what they're going to do is going to take a great deal of bandwidth.
I see.
So if that is one of their prerequisites, it's usually a red flag as to what their intentions are.
I see. I see. I see. Understood. Now, there's a recent article here in the Gleaner dated April 13th, 2022, and it speaks to MOCA urging the public to be on the lookout for these persons who would wish to operate in what they describe as upscale communities. I don't know if they necessarily mean communities for what you would call the ultra rich, or maybe they just mean middle class communities or upper middle class. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by upscale, but suffice it to say, most Jamaicans understand what the term upscale means. And the agency says it has noticed a worrying trend of persons, particularly those involved in lottery scamming, renting upscale Airbnb apartments and using these premises as a location for their crimes. And this is not an indictment against Airbnb, by the way. We want people to be aware of these persons and their activities. It continues. Quote, and this is quoting the MOCA press officer, Detective Inspector Antoinette Morrison, in a media release. Not only to alert them to the practice, but also to inform or remind them that under the Law Reform Fraudulent Transactions, Special Transactions Act, they themselves can be arrested and charged if found to be aiding and abetting the commission of these criminal activities by knowingly allowing the use of their premises, unquote. Mr. Shirley.
Yes, okay.
We know that, generally speaking, realtors, real estate agents might not necessarily be the ones to interface with persons who want to do these very short-term rentals, for example. However, do you have any guidance to give the public in relation to these activities in terms of how can a landlord, someone who owns a property, be made aware as to what is happening? What are some of the things to look out for? And would they need the assistance of a real estate agent to help to prevent choosing the wrong person for a short-term rental? Mr. Shirley?
Sure. Well, Stokeley, property owners and our landlords, the use of a realtor or a real estate agent is voluntary on their part. And so you do have landlords or property owners who will, at their discretion, advertise their property for rent all on their own, without the guidance and or support of a real estate practitioner. In the other instance, where they may engage a real estate practitioner, we are held to high standards and we have requirements that we have to follow in line with the anti-money laundering laws. And so we have a duty to ascertain who it is that we are doing business with, both being engaged by the landlord and also with any prospective tenant. And so there is the tenant application that is completed and which include, residence history, would include employment history, and would include even the provision of references that we as real estate agents now conduct our due diligence prior to accepting a prospective tenant to rent a property, whether short or long term, if they are dealing through us. Now, I can't speak to what processes a landlord may go through. And as Robert said a little earlier, common sense to overcome greed. In many instances, a landlord may just be happy that someone has shown up willing to rent the property at the price that they have asked for, and not necessarily conduct the same due diligence process as a real estate practitioner would.
Interesting. And I just want to add that I have a real estate license, a real estate salesman license. I've never done these kinds of short-term rentals myself, but I can just imagine the horror that property owner can go through when they might discover that they rented their premises to someone engaged in, for example, lottery scamming. We're now upon a break. Stay with us, listeners. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
JN Money Card. Send the money. More withdraw in a hurry. JN Money Card free. With your TRN and your ID. And when me no walk with cash, me just swipe like that. From abroad to card. Get the JN Money Card. It's safe, convenient, and free. JN Money Card sent from abroad. JN Money Card.
Available at JN Money locations across Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer is up and running again. Now you can receive your money when and where you need it at any Alliance MoneyGram agent island-wide.
It's time to take your home somewhere unexpected. And at Active Home Center, it's our job to help you do just that. With our wide range of home finishes and on-trend styles, you'll find a great selection for your space. Shop tiles in different styles, contemporary bathroom fixtures, kitchen and appliances, the latest in furniture, lighting, and so much more. Visit our showroom at 84 Constant Spring Road or online at ActiveHomeCenter.com. Your one-stop shop for home finishes. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch. We're speaking to Pierre Shirley, President, Realtors Association of Jamaica, and Robert Finzi Smith, Security Consultant. And in this main watch, the topic is lottery scammers renting upscale residences for short periods to perpetrate their crimes. Mr. Shirley, following on what you said just prior to the break, sir, you know, with the best of intentions, you can have a property owner, not using a real estate agent, doing an excellent job in vetting a prospective short-term tenant or occupier of their premises. They could have done an excellent job. And maybe they're experienced at, you know, interviewing prospective persons to rent their facility for short-term or even long-term rental for
yes.
But we're focusing on short-term today. And the realtor, too, could do a similarly good job of vetting the person. So whether it was a real estate agent or a property owner doing the vetting, it was a really excellent vetting. Nevertheless, the person slipped through the cracks. This person is a lottery scammer, and they are now in the premises occupying the property. Any comments on that? Because it can't be that, well, I know that Mr. Finzi Smith did indicate greed, and I don't in any way doubt him. However, you know, for those persons who find themselves unfortunate enough to have that person occupying their premises, any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with them, Mr. Shirley? Because this seems to be becoming a serious problem.
Well, it's okay. I'm glad you went there, because the truth of the matter is, and you're absolutely correct, these individuals will manage to sit through the cracks, because what they have done is they have familiarized themselves with the process. And so with the vetting process, I speak to particularly. So you are not going to have an individual who plans to rent a property for these types of activities, and in completing a rental application or conducting an interview, when they are asked what is their employment or source of income, is not going to indicate that they are a scammer, right? So in fact, these individuals are not even going to be involved in the process, right? So they are going to identify someone else who they will, you know, agree to compensate in some way, shape, form, or manner as an individual who will pass that vetting process. And that is the person who is going to show up looking to rent the property. And so it's difficult for whether a landlord or a real estate agent to be able to identify these individuals before the fact.
Interesting point there, Mr. Finsey Smith. Any comments? Because in other words, as Mr. Shirley pointed out, the criminal sends someone else to be the face of this short-term rental. It turns out that is not the person who is actually going to be using the premises for the relevant purpose. And this can happen easily. You could be renting, for example, for a couple of days, like a holiday. So you're expecting people to come to rent the premises for a holiday, but the persons who are coming to do the rental for those few days are not really going there to enjoy a holiday. Mr. Finsey Smith?
Yes, you're quite right. I was about to make the point that let's not find ourselves in the archaic thought process that people are dishonest, are little dirty boys. These are people, some of them who have university education and can't find employment. So they're very smart. So whoever they're putting forward as the agent, the face card, will in fact pass, and with flying colors, the assessment process.
Yes.
But there are certain checks and guidelines. Like I said, if they are very interested in what your bandwidth is, you need to be alarmed. The other thing is that under any landlord or renter's agreement, there is a clause that indicates that you are within the law and within reason. You have the right to come and inspect your premises. And if they get the impression that you might just pop up, they are not going to be very willing to expose themselves to that kind of situation.
Yes.
Again, you can, after the fact, you may have rented and they used and moved. You can look to see what the condition of the premises are. I'll give you an example. I recently saw a video of, it seemed fairly upscale, but there are about 4 or 5 mattresses arrayed on the ground with young men sprawled on them in front of laptops. So they have set up the situation almost like a call center. You need to double check to see what kind of traffic is going through your place. Because whilst they say ignorance of the law is not an excuse, you now can avail yourself of the intelligence you need to make a decision going forward. Because if all of a sudden, in the limited space of time, 20 guys are passing through your premises, red flag.
Yes.
If your internet bill in terms of the amount of bandwidth being used, gets sky high, red flag. Some of them are so quick that they do what they have to do and move on and leave your premises in a way that, as I just described, will indicate certain kind of activity. I'm still amazed at the fact that Jamaica is one of the few countries I know where people drive high-end vehicles with no visible source of income and no one questions it. So the type of vehicle somebody arrives in and then these vehicles keep passing through will tell you something. I don't know how to break it to you, but this is not just a fly-by-night situation. This is very organized. Somewhere there is Scammer Central, where people, which is why some of the wars go on, because people carve out territories the way drug dealers do in the States.
Interesting.
So people will get up and say, okay, you can call Minnesota, and you can operate from up in Iron Shore, just using a name. And somebody decide that I want to operate there too. Or them thief the lists. That's the other thing. Check your rubbish. What is going out in your rubbish? Because they're not as careful as you'd like to think. And when they arrive, they are looking like they're arriving for a techie symposium.
Yes.
Roll up a laptop, something is wrong. So you can at least inform the authorities that there's a problem. My problem now is that we fools rushing where angels fear to tread. You can be exposed because you go say something and they must rush your place.
Yes, yes.
That is not the thing. Once you have to me, a word of advice, whether it is pertinent or not, is that if someone tells you this as a police officer, and you do the first thing you do is do your surveillance. You take down license plate numbers of the vehicles that come and go. You do photographs of the individuals that come and go. And you do not trouble them at that time. When the rental is over, you go in with the permission of the homeowner and do your surveillance. You take your fingerprint the entire place.
Understood. I
actually
actually
has been in there and for future reference.
Yes.
So you now have a trail to follow. It's like I catching a young man with a spliff. You don't lock him up. You ask him, it's a good grade. Where you get it? Down the corner. So you go down the corner and say, I'd like to buy a spliff. You have some good thing. Where you get it? Guy, bring it come. Where him come from? Down at St. Anne. Okay, so then you follow the guy to St. Anne. That's how you find the field.
Yes.
Other than that, it's a recurring decimal.
Exactly. Mr. Shirley, a number of things that Mr. Finzi Smith said, very interesting, and something has struck me. What role, if any, can the security apparatus, including the personnel, well, let me say the personnel first, as well as the security apparatus, meaning the equipment, can that play in helping to know who is traversing the premises of a homeowner? Because we know some of these residential complexes, for example, may have security at the gate, some don't. Some have 12-hour security at night, some have 24-hour security throughout the day. Some have cameras, some don't have cameras. And some of these residencies may not necessarily be apartments or townhouses, but they could be actual standalone houses with their own, yard property around the physical house building. Any words of wisdom you want to leave with the listeners, Mr. Shirley? Well,
first of all, I really appreciate the recommendation that Robert just shared a while ago for the benefit of the public, these property owners who may be renting these properties. When you may have a tenant or occupant in the property that you may be suspicious of what type of activities that they are conducting within, and how to really address this. As you said, you don't confront them, and you don't necessarily bring it to the attention of the authorities to come and interrupt the lease. But you want to bring it to their attention so that they can now start observing what's going on. So in a case where there is, for example, a gated community and there is a manned security guard and the situation is brought to the attention of the authorities, the following day that security guard could be replaced with an undercover police officer.
Exactly.
Right? Nobody is going to be questioning the change of the security guard the following day, or a day after. And that undercover police officer can now take on the surveillance in a professional manner, observing. I mean, they will have first hand who is coming there to them, because there's a screening process at these gated communities in terms of, I'm going to John Brown at number 3. Okay, great. Number 3 is the one that we have a concern about. Who are you? What's your life? And they can take the license plate number, the make and model of the vehicle when they go in, without that individual having any suspicion that they're under surveillance. So these are opportunities that can be explored, especially in these gated communities, especially in an approach where the landowner is not alerting the tenants that they are concerned about their activities that are there and dealing with it in a more inconspicuous manner.
Well, Mr. Shirley,
also, if I might add,
yes,
there is a small pool of these seemingly squeaky clean front people, the ones who pass your test of fit and proper. So we need to find out how many villas or how many houses have these people rented in the past 6 months.
Very interesting, yes. So much more we could say, Mr. Finzi Smith and Mr. Shirley, but I thank you for that last contribution you made, Mr. Finzi Smith. Thank you as well, Mr. Shirley. I think we're totally out of time. Very interesting, and we probably need to have you back again to give us some more tips, because this seems to be a perennial problem. Thank you, listeners, for being with us in this first watch. We'll be right back at the morning watch. Stay with us.
Thank you. Right.
Apply today for DBJ Recovery Line of Credit or Go Digital Loan to help you find a way. The time by J&B Bank Small Business Loan is now 7:31 right here on Love 101.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, April 20. Stick around for Progress at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Chevelle Franklin as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m., join us again inside the Drama House for one final chat. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah M., the Jerpy One on the Family Station, Love 101.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Celebration Church with host pastor Prophet Michael Carter invites you to Easter Harvest Crusade. Tag Expectations, April 15th to May 6th, 7 p.m. nightly. 1E Portmore Skating Rink. Call 467-1527. Easter Harvest Crusade.
Hey, my friends, it's Love 101, the Family Station. Stay tuned as we'll be joining the Morning Watch in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Gleaner, and some of these news items here are very concerning. In fact, some are tragic. Flash flood warning in effect for 5 parishes. Also, body of 12-year-old child found after being swept away by flood water. There was uncontrollable grief at the Montego Bay Wharf in St. James late this evening. That would have been yesterday, as undertakers removed the body of a 12-year-old girl who was earlier swept away by flood waters in Westgate. We now turn to the Observer, and there is a story here. Well, at the time of this news item in the Observer, it read, search underway for 12-year-old and grandmother washed away in Mobay. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, how are you weathering the weather in your neck of Jamaica? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses in our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp your comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We move into the second watch, and social media is vibrant, and there have been a lot of videos circulating on social media since yesterday in what appears to be the second city of Montego Bay, where many of the roads and waterways have been inundated with water, a lot of water. And Montego Bay admittedly has several infrastructural issues, and the fact that there is some flooding is not necessarily a surprise, but the volume of flooding being seen and the tragedy that has occurred is great cause for concern. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Center is forecasting above average rainfall for portions of the Greater Antilles, including Jamaica, during the next 7 days from April 26, with flash flooding a distinct possibility. And what is happening in Montego Bay right now is particularly concerning, and we are really genuinely concerned as to how they're weathering the rain so far. And if this keeps up for another couple of days, we don't know what on earth would happen. We have online this morning to discuss this and to, brainstorm even as to what can be done. Janet Silvera, she's the head of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, and Mr. Keith Spence, businessman and Montego Bay resident. Janet Silvera and Keith Spence, good morning. And first of all, we know that this way, we here at 101 FM are deeply saddened by the loss of life and the trauma that has beset persons from your beautiful and great city of Montego Bay and the wider St. James Parish. Our condolences in relation to the family of those who lost loved ones. Janet Silvera, starting with you. We know that you have done your own research in relation to what has happened in your great city of Montego Bay. And I would say I used to go to Montego Bay quite a bit at one time. And I myself have been in situations in Montego Bay, in one particular incident actually, where the water on the roads was so heavy, I wondered if I would be able to navigate the traffic. I eventually was able to navigate the traffic and was able to drive out of the city, but it's not an experience that I would want to relive ever, ever, ever. It's worse than anything I've ever experienced, even in Kingston. And we have issues in Kingston with water on our roadways when it rains heavily. So Janet Silvera, your comments, your thoughts, what is really happening from as far as you know?
Well, good morning. Can I just say that if you see heavy downpour and if you see where it looks as if the water is a bit high, you don't try to even navigate. I want to just say that out front, if you're not driving a high utility vehicle, the possibility exists that you may be washed away. So that's one of the things that I would like to say first. And I'm not saying that this family that was washed away yesterday saw this, because the area where they were coming from, I couldn't imagine them being washed away there. Many people never even knew that there was such a wide opening that takes you into the Montego River. So I don't know if during construction of the road, which is because there's construction going on the road at this time,
okay,
if there has been a widening, I'm not sure. But one thing I'm sure about in that area right now is there has been a lot of digging down of parts of the mountainous area section there. So the possibility exists that landscape slippage could be happening there, and also the water could be going in that direction because it has nowhere else to go. So one of my concerns really is how development might be affecting us in a sense that we are doing development, we're chopping down the trees, we're digging down the sides of the mountains, and not taking into consideration that when it rains, that water has nowhere to go. So I am very concerned about that as a Montegonian, and I'm also concerned about the amount of garbage, the amount of plastic bottles, etc., that I saw in the water at Montego Freeport yesterday after the rains brought them down from the hills, because it has been raining for more than 3 days. It has been raining since last Saturday. So I believe that a lot of what came down yesterday came from the hills. And what came with it was a lot of garbage.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
We have lost the fight against the plastic bottles as well.
I'm looking at the website here of the ODPM, and when it comes to flooding, a number of causes of flooding are mentioned. Among them are deforestation, and among them also we have improper agricultural practices, of course, heavy rainfall resulting from tropical weather disturbances. Another cause here is inadequate design of drainage channels and structures. Then you have inadequate maintenance of drainage facilities, blockage by debris brought by floodwaters, and construction of settlements in floodplains. I'll be quick to add that we don't know for sure what caused the flooding yesterday. However, these are some of the causes of flooding as displayed on the ODPEM website. Mr. Spence, you are from Montego Bay. You are a resident of Montego Bay, and you're a businessman in Montego Bay. How does all this strike you? How does it affect the average person in Montego Bay? And as a businessman, can you also comment how it affects you, Mr. Spence?
Morning, Stokeley, listeners.
Morning.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, morning.
Morning. Listen, Stokeley, I thought about all of this last night and putting things together. I realized that somehow it seems like we're not working with our historical data. I mean, this is not the first time Montego Bay has been inundated underwater. And just November of last year, the information out is that we received some 4 inches of rain within 4 hours. That's a whole month and a half worth of rainfall in 4 hours. And what information did we garner from that? If we look at our Gully coast, the flooding extended no more than 50 meters away from the center of those 2 major gully courses, the South Gully and the North Gully in Montego Bay. And I said, but a simple arithmetic. We need to look at those gully courses and increasing the cubic volume. Yeah, that's one. However, this morning, with all of that, I said to myself, I witnessed a car being washed away coming from the South Gully in the Dome Street area. I stopped just below Overton Plaza and videographed the cars being washed down into the creek. This morning I said, you know what, let me download an altimeter and go down to the exact location. We'll put it up. And what I saw, totally, I was flabbergasted. I recorded it, then I went home and I said, oh man, I'm going to download another app and go back down there and get a reading. My son is trying to share this. But let me just say, the reading was saying minus 30 feet below sea level. Now, trust me, it put all of my argument to rubbish because it means that we're obviously doing something very, very good. Why we're not living in a lake?
1 second, Mr. Spence. Hold that thought. Don't lose your train of thought there because we are upon a break. We want to hear more about what you're saying there. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
And over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is
7:46 right here on the family station, Love 101.
Me can tell you about short term motor insurance from JNGI. You choose what you need, 30, 60, 90 days policy. No long commitment, full third party. Don't park your car, don't walk, get a shotty. So affordable and it's not per nation market. JNGI shotty. Country party, we have a shotty. Just insure your vehicle and start it. Roll out with a shotty. Shotty, the short term motor insurance from JN General Insurance. Available only online.
Regin, how you do? You must put my money for a rainy day, brother. No, man. The money that need to put in our bank account. No one bag of money and document money for open a bank account. We don't have all of that. You don't need none of that with an NCB Quick Save account. All you need is a valid ID, your TRN, and your $100 deposit. No minimum balance, no ABM fees, and no point of sale transaction fees. Plus, government will give it $2,500 for them kind of account here. What you know, sir?
With an NCB Quick Save account, all you need is your TRN $100 deposit and a valid government ID. Visit your nearest NCB branch to apply today. Conditions apply.
Phoenix Health and Vision Center now has 2 locations. St. Anne's Bay, 65 Main Street beside the Health Center. And now Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. You heard me right. Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. The only full-service eye care center for all your designer frames and designer glasses. Complete eye care. Book all your appointments now in St. Anne's Bay. Call 876-972-2388. 876-589-8327. For Falmouth and its environs, call this number 876-533-0540. Looking forward to seeing you at both locations. Phoenix Health and Vision Center. Now at Champion
Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch and we are looking at a story of great concern. How is Montego Bay weathering the weather? And our guests are Keith Spence. He is a resident of Montego Bay and a businessman. And Janet Silvera. She's the head of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. Before this break, Mr. Spence, you were explaining to us your observations. Please continue, sir.
Right. So I'm sharing screen as we speak. I don't know if you can see it. Can you right there it is.
Yeah.
This is saying, and I'm at the location right before the First Church of the Open Bible on Dome Street. And this is the reading. I leave, have this program to go on, go home. I said, no man, I'm going to download another app. Because this is saying I'm 30 feet below sea level in Montego Bay. I went back down there and the other one didn't do much justice. It got deeper. Right? So I'm giving you the best scenario. You know, and
this is using which particular technology? Can you remind us?
I'm using a Note, what do you call it? Note 10 Plus. And this one came straight off the internet. I just put my elevation. Yes, and then I downloaded an app and it was putting me at minus 46 feet. I said, you know what? I will just screenshot the lesser and work with that one.
I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying the technology is right or wrong. I'm just saying it's the first I've heard this. It's very interesting.
Exactly. So I would invite people to really look into this phenomenon. If this is so, then hey, we need to start to do things to mitigate against what the real possibilities are for Montego. Should we have a tsunami? Exactly so. And you know the physical features of Montego Bay with the basin and the high rise mountains behind it lends to a kind of relief rainfall that just compounds the convectional system where we're heating up. The climate change scenario, all of these things compounding Montego Bay's physical structure is, hey, we're a time bomb. We're a time. I'm in the ice cream business.
You know what? I'm sorry. I don't mind. Please allow me to butt in.
Sure
I was just about to say that I think that we need some good engineers. I don't know where we're going to get them from, but we need to bring in some people who understand what's happening. I'm not surprised about the findings of Mr. Spence, because when I tried to leave, I live in Montego Freeport, and when I tried to leave my house yesterday to go to Westgate, by the time I got to the roundabout in the Freeport area, further down, closer to the police station, that area was inundated with water, and a lot of that water could be coming from the ocean.
You know, I'm glad you said that, Miss Silvera, because I've been to the Freeport area, and there is a particular section of it I went to once, and I felt almost as if I was going to walk straight off the ground right onto the water surface. It felt weird. I'm not accustomed to water being so close to the level of the land. You know, I'm expecting a little bit of a gradient going down. So you think it's coming from the Caribbean Sea itself, Miss
I'm not sure, and because I'm not as knowledgeable.
No, we're not experts here on that this morning, but
I'm not going to say that, but I'm just saying that's what it looked like.
Looks like to you.
Right.
I would want
I cannot understand where that water, all of that water came from yesterday.
So you really need these engineers to come in to inform you and to tell you what's really happening.
Well,
yes, I think we need to do a real study right now where we bring experts from elsewhere. If we don't have them readily available here, we need to bring in some people because like you said, the climate change is here, you know. We're not accustomed to this kind of rainfall as well at this time of the year.
Interesting. Mr. Spence, you're coming back. You're making a point? Yes, sir.
Yes, you know, as a child, I used to sit on the wall, a Carroll wall. That's it, right by the library there. Yes. And I'm telling you, man, the kind of storm surges and waves that would splash on the back of the library. You know what is stopping all of that right now? They have removed the mountains of John's Hall and up in Orange, St. James, Moreland, and dumped it into the sea. All of that nice, lush Howard Cook is the mountains of Montego Bay now dumped and building an artificial barrier reef. And that is why we kind of getting away for the time in the short term. You understand? But as Janet alluded to, we are eroding the protection systems of the highlands. And as a result, we're seeing all of this massive flooding adding to the fact that things are changing. 4 hours of rain, 4 inches of rain in 4 hours, that's unprecedented. I don't know the measurements for yesterday, but it would be trending in the same direction.
Yes, Janet Silvera.
I'm sorry. I want to meet with Mr. Spence. That's all I do. I want to find out more about how he was able to decipher what level we're under.
Yes,
as it relates to the sea levels.
And the concern we have here is that it's indicated that the rains may last for another couple of days. And of course, it has been indicated that, there is there can be flooding in these 5 parishes, including St. James. And by the way, by focusing on Montego Bay today, we're not in any way ignoring or, diminishing the impact on any parish, any town, anywhere, just to make that abundantly clear. But since this may last for another couple of days, how are you, for example, as residents of Montego Bay, and Janet Silvera, you are representing a body of business persons like Mr. Spence and other persons. What guidance do you think you will need to be issuing to the members of your association and to the wider Montego Bay community? Any interface you plan to have with the relevant municipal authorities there, or that you will see?
Something, the good thing about, let me tell you, I've had interface already since yesterday.
Yes.
The good thing about it, we have a very acting mayor, young man by the name of Richard Vernon, who I saw in his water boots and his raincoat, walking the river, walking along the strip to see what was happening in Montego Bay yesterday. One of the good things that happened is, in many areas, even though there was water, the runoff was quick.
Okay.
So that really helped. And it shows, too, that maybe our drains in some areas aren't as bad as you would think. In other words, the municipal council is doing its work in that area.
They've been working, yes.
Interest that I've seen coming from the municipal council, what I saw yesterday, I don't recall seeing that in a long time in Montego Bay. So I'm encouraged.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm encouraged that they will listen, because they need to listen now to what the citizens of the town what the citizens are saying. And I feel that we need to call in experts right now.
Okay.
That's what I can say as chamber president, that I would want to see us do some more research, because this can't continue to happen. We've seen it happen before. It's not like it's the first time it's happening. But are we going to allow this to continue? More lives to be lost? More businesses to be affected by it?
Yes.
No, we shouldn't. Thousands of people had to walk home yesterday. They couldn't even get cabs to go home. They walked for hours to get to their homes.
I have seen the parking area for the courthouse in Montego Bay inundated with water, and surrounding areas. It was a very horrifying experience, and as I said, it's not something I don't want to have repeated ever. Before we... Yes, Keith Spence.
Just finally, one piece of indictment though I would have on the city is that in the same vicinity of the Rubis gas station on St. James Street, there is a sign there, a water meter that says it goes up to 5 feet.
Yes.
5 feet. And if the water is at this level, don't pass. When I look at that meter, I say, seriously? You know, as a planner, that this water, and that's a gas station, and a myriad of businesses in that little hub. Juicy Beef, it's no longer the bank, but a lot going on there. And I saw once a couple of years ago, they're taking the baby through just about 6 inches of water left for that child to come under the door, for them to save that baby out of that car parts place in the same vicinity. And we're waiting for it to happen again. 5 feet? Now, to look at
Janet Silvera, before we wrap today, any final thoughts you want to leave with us? Because it's very deeply concerning, and of course, not saying any other parish in any other town isn't worth mention here this morning, but you
what I would want to urge persons to do. I'm sorry. What I would want to urge persons to do, because all we're doing is making the situation worse. See how best you can dispose of your garbage without having it become one of these things that impacts the water when it's coming down. And that includes the business operators downtown Montego Bay and the vendors downtown Montego Bay who cut them pineapple, peel them things down and throw it right there on the road.
Understood.
They are contributing to the flooding. They are.
Have to leave it there this morning, Janet Silvera and Keith Spence, but that's an excellent note on which to end. We must be careful how we dispose of our garbage, including business operators. Thank you, Janet Silvera and Keith Spence. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs, and listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app Download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall. Handing it back to Love in the Morning with Rushane.
Thank you, Stokeley. Have a great day now.
Have a good day, Rushane.
Bless you.
NHF beneficiaries enrolled for diabetes can get a glucometer with the use of their NHF card. Apply online at nhf.org.jm. The time by the NHF is...
It is 8 o'clock.